Welcome to Consults Over Coffee. I'm Dr. Michael Jones. This week's episode is about small businesses and the pandemic. Joining me is Scott Starbuck, who's the founder and owner of City Soles, a designer shoe boutique in Chicago, Illinois that Scott founded 30 years ago. You've got a niche market in the middle of a pandemic in a major city under lockdown with social upheaval and a particularly brutal Chicago winter. What could go wrong? Scott's got an interesting story of navigating and surviving difficult times and a glimpse of what appears to be a little light at the end of the tunnel. I think you'll enjoy this episode. All right, well, welcome to another Consults Over Coffee. I'm Dr. Michael Jones, and I'm joined today by an old friend of mine from Chicago, Scott Starbuck, who is the founder and owner of City Soles, which is a boutique shoe store that, frankly, you would be amazed. People who haven't been there would be amazed at what you can find in that place, right?
Absolutely.
How long have you guys, tell us a little bit about City Soles so folks can get a feel for what that's all about.
I opened in 1991 in downtown Chicago in Lakeview. And then I migrated in 95 over to a super trendy neighborhood, Wicker Park and Bucktown. And I've been there ever since. And my whole mantra is to try to have stuff that you're not going to see at Zappos or Macy's or Nordstrom's or whatever. Funky footwear that I import, better quality footwear that I import from like Italy, Spain, Portugal, some South America, a little bit Brazil, Mexico, very little or zero from China, but better quality leather goods, mostly footwear, but there's some cool accessories and stuff too. So, and then I've evolved online. I have a pretty thriving web business. We ship all over the country for free. We do something kind of cool in Chicago, geographically, anywhere in the city of Chicago. If you put a pair of shoes in your shopping cart online, a pop-up box comes up and says, "Do you want instant delivery?" And we Uber them to you for free.
I saw that on the website. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But I think I'm now a little out of your range, out of the delivery range. Since I'm
it'd be a very expensive Uber, but we ship them UPS ground for free anywhere in the country.
So you guys, you've been in business now then for about 30 years.
Yeah, I was like 7 years old when I opened.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice try, Scott.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that probably the last year has been one of the more challenging years for business since you opened.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been through a lot before in my life, but this was an ass kicker, really.
Yeah.
We had a pretty crazy year, and it was touch and go whether we were going to make it or not, and had to get out the paddles a few times to keep me going.
Well, that's one of the things that was interesting to me is you know, I think for folks, if they ran a grocery store or some kind of commodity business that folks needed every day, it was maybe a little more intrinsically sustainable.
Sure.
But you're a pretty high-end boutique fashion store.
Yeah, well, fashion went out the window. I mean, people were living at home in sweatpants and a Zoom meeting. That you have a dress shirt on now, but you may have boxer shorts on for all I know.
I would have sweatpants on right now.
So
which you should be grateful that I'm wearing that.
They were living at home in sweatpants and slippers and learning how to work from their laptops. And there's already a generation of people out there that were working from coffee shops, and now they don't even have to get dressed to go to work, So even everybody's like, well, you got an online business, things are going good, right? And I'm like, no, people aren't going anywhere. So you can't even go out for sushi. Can't wear cute shoes to go out and, look good for the opposite sex or anything, So, we were forced to shut down by government mandate and then state of Illinois mandate from March, April, May, June. We started to get open in June, and then that's when the social unrest in the world happened.
Yeah.
And we're in a super trendy neighborhood in downtown Chicago. So there was lots of protests, lots of peaceful protests, and of course, what happened after that from all kinds of elements. So that was really people that come to the city to shop were scared to come downtown and shop. So we tried to ramp up our .com and did pretty well. Started some marketing online, but still, I mean, as a whole, my business was down in 2020 72%. So I mean, we were breathing through a straw, and it actually could be down 92% if you count 2018, 2019, we had a 20% gain over 2018, and we were in a growth spurt. And I think it would have continued had this not happened. So 2020 was down 72%, but it could be more like, we lost 100% of revenues. So tried to keep my employees going and tried to keep a smile on my face, but it was pretty ugly.
So yeah, how did you make it work?
Well, I mean, when we were closed down, I mean, that was just try to keep the lights on. I negotiated with my landlord. He got like 6 months off of his mortgage and put it at the end of his mortgage. So, 30 years from now, he'll be paying his mortgage then. But we got 6 months off our rent. So we didn't pay a dime in rent. I literally turned off the internet. I turned off the Wi-Fi at the store. We, went down to zero, just like nothing. And as we talked, I got a lot of bicycling in. Tried to maintain my sanity, and get on the bike and ride for 3 hours here and there. And then we started getting open. It was a skeleton crew, but last summer it kind of started to feel like things were coming back, but everybody was nervous, and knowing that they're going to shut us down again or shut down things. I was like, I'm an essential business. I sell some nursing clogs and some masks and some hand sanitizer.
Yeah, right.
We're essential.
Did you get financial support from the government at all, or?
Yeah, I got the first round of the PPP, the payroll protection thing, but I mean, that was a crazy shit show. The banks didn't know what to do or how to process it. The government didn't give enough information. The SBA really didn't even know what they were doing, and you're suddenly seeing in the paper, Shake Shack got $22 million, and these little mom and pop shops were getting nothing. And I mean, I put in all the information they needed, dotted my I's and crossed my T's and prayed, and we got a really small PPP that really it would help us with expenses and payroll for maybe 2 months, and that was back in May. And then we were still closed. Then I filled out the application for forgiveness of the loan. It wasn't a lot of money, but they forgave it. And then second round of PPP, I just received in March, and that again was just enough to keep us going for 30 or 60 days. It's not like it'll keep us going again and again, for a while. But now the weather's changed. The optimism is there. People are getting their vaccines, and in big cities, they're pumping out vaccines like crazy. I mean, and myself, all my employees, my daughters, my girlfriend, everybody, not everybody I know, but I mean, my tight knit crew are all vaccinated, and I see, that there's some hope on the horizon.
Yeah, I think that's true. I just, I was kind of taken aback by the concept of the lack of government support. It seemed to me that if you want to shut the economy down or pause the economy and have everybody go underground and into their bunkers and mitigate all of this, you kind of have to support the people if you want them to do that. And it struck me that was kind of lacking.
for sure. And when they did it was like a day late and a dollar short kind of thing. You know, they were not on. You know, many other countries were on the ball, like Canada. Okay, everybody in Canada gets 20 grand. They get $5 grand a month until this thing's over, or whatever. And the U.S. was backpedaling. It seemed like they were like, it was hard to figure out.
Well, and I was amazed because a number of my more conservative friends were sort of the mindset that, like, we can't pause the economy. People must go to work. We have to keep making money. And I was thinking, you know, there's 500,000 dead people in this country from this. And it's like, okay, well, pick 3 people that you think ought to die.
Yeah.
So that you can keep making money, and give me their names.
Yeah. And we'll all go back to work, and everything will be okay.
It was right. It was kind of the disconnect was kind of mind boggling to me, because this is not a political issue. This is a public health issue.
Sure.
You know, well, and the rest of the world seemed to do much better. I mean, Brazil, not so much. But Canada certainly, and a lot of other European countries seem to do much better at kind of shutting things down and supporting their population and supporting small businesses to get folks through this.
Sure. Well, I mean, we talked about my neighborhood in Wicker Park in Chicago is like Brooklyn, or an area in San Francisco, or, you know, a cool area in Austin, Texas, or whatever. These areas were just completely decimated. Like the main strip on Milwaukee Avenue in Wicker Park, where my shop is, I'd say it's 1.5 miles long, you know, there's 63 empty storefronts, like, gone, you know. And there's things you didn't think about, like boutique grocery stores were packed because nobody wanted to go to Costco and spend their time. But dry cleaners were going out of business because nobody was wearing dress clothes anymore, you know. Just weird things you like didn't think about, like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, you know. I saw like 3 different dry cleaners in the neighborhood that are gone. There was a dry cleaner on every corner, you know.
Right.
And I don't know how coffee shop survives, and forget the restaurant industry was decimated, you know. And now today that, you know, it's starting to pick up a little bit. I don't know who in their right mind is going out to open a new restaurant or a new retail spot anywhere, you know. And I think, you know, like you said, a couple of conservative friends, and I, you know, I'm 2 steps away from conservative. I grew up in the suburbs of Kansas City, and my father would say something like, well, there's nothing going on, just wash your hands. And I'm like, no, in big cities, you see it. And I know you're in the medical field, and my girlfriend's a nurse. I mean, it was in the trenches, March, April, May, June, like really bad.
And it's ugly.
Yeah.
It was ugly. I mean, I watched a 51-year-old guy who went in a matter of hours from I'm coughing and I'm short of breath to being in the intensive care unit or a ventilator, and probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
And I thought, that guy's younger than I am.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I am too. Yeah. And you know, that was the thing. I don't think people really understood exactly how bad this could be.
I think it was geographic also. At first, it was geographic. Bigger cities were just, you know, New York and Chicago and stuff like that. But, you know, in the suburbs of Iowa or rural areas, they were, you know, like, they hadn't heard of a case. They hadn't had anybody in town get sick yet. And then it started to dissipate started to go out to all reaches of the land.
Yeah.
People were ignoring. They were going for Thanksgiving. They were going for Christmas, and they were losing grandma and grandpa, and things like that were happening suddenly. And they found out real quick that this was no joke. You know?
No, exactly. So are you starting to see businesses coming back?
I'm starting to see my business come back, but I mean, you know, like I said, we were down 72% for the entire year. And then the first quarter of 21 was about the same pace of horribleness. but into March, and middle of March, we had some nice weather. There was vaccines happening. People were very comfortable in their mask attire and going out, So I think we'll end up April down like 40%, and hopefully May down 30%, and hopefully, by early fall, we'll start to see real numbers again. But I mean, those numbers, that my overhead was not designed to handle this at 40% off of my volume. I'm paying 50% less rent right now, and I will be till the end of this year. Actually, we negotiated that, and without that, there's no way, and there's no way my landlord would even get a new tenant to cover the rent right now, because nobody's out there looking to open up. But my true hope is, like, in New York or Brooklyn or here, that there's a renaissance that comes out of this, that the rents get cheaper, they become more approachable in these cool neighborhoods, and young people can come out, creatives can come out and open up interesting things. Two young college girls graduate and open up a bubblegum shop. Anything that's new and creative. I just don't need to see another Nike or a North Face store on the corner, because that does nothing for the neighborhood. It does nothing for our local economy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think in general, and that's one of the things that we tried to do here, is just to make sure that, rather than support the big grocery stores, you support the small business guy, you support the guy in the neighborhood.
And we really, really focused on that during the holidays, and now we still aren't going to big grocery stores. We're still going to the little boutique neighborhood grocery stores and stuff. And a friend of mine in the restaurant business, I see her at the dog park all the time. And this was probably May, back when things were still shut down. And I looked at her when I walked into the dog park. I saw her and I was like, holy shit. And she's like, don't get me started. You know what these people all learned how to do in the past 90 days? She goes, they learned how to cook for themselves. Why would anybody want to go out to dinner again and pay $120 for two people for dinner when you can make lamb chops at home for $30,
Yeah.
Like, and that's changing the world also. I still don't know what we're going to see out of this a year, 2 years from now on how the world pivots and evolves. It's crazy.
Well, and what I'm really kind of hoping, and in talking to folks like you who are in the trenches and really felt the impact of this, is that it wasn't fake news. It wasn't us versus them. This is sort of one tribe.
The globe. Yeah.
The globe, actually. And certainly even if you want to say, well, my neighborhood, or my city or my town, that everybody's in this together. And the only way to get out of this is together.
Yeah. It wasn't red against blue or blue against red either. It wasn't political. It was not meant to be political,
No,
it's meant for humanity to learn something out of this. And it's just so horrifying how evil humans are to each other. And to see the ugliness of how this thing evolved. But on the other side, you saw these beautiful little scenarios of things happening and people helping people, and small, companies that were thriving in this, reaching out and helping their community too. People that were doing well and somehow in this messed up economy and the messed up world, that were helping others. And I think that was like truly an amazing, fit of humanity to do that, And
I think that stuff's out there. It's just, it's so trendy and it's eye candy to show the divisiveness, to show, the violence, to scream fake news. It's low hanging fruit and it goes nowhere. But
people watch the news for blood and mayhem more than they do flowers and bunnies.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'd take the flowers and the bunnies.
Sure.
I like a little mayhem, but just on the side.
just like anybody does, right?
Exactly. It's but I think that I'm hopeful that there will be a greater sense of community that comes out of this, because you realize that, you know what, it's not lost on me that the only way that you stay in business is if we go down and do business with you.
Yeah.
That you're the small business guy. The big chain stuff, they'll do all right, but they don't care about us.
Yeah, I mean, the stimulus is lost on the people that, you send 190 million Americans a $1,400 check, and they go and spend it at Walmart or Amazon or whatever. That does nothing for our local economy. But if you go to their little mom and pop shops, and that money goes straight back into your immediate economy, and it helps the clerk or the part-time kid or the full-time mom that's trying to keep her kids in Zoom classes at home. That helps them. But if you spend the money at Amazon or any of those places, that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, the big box stuff. And that's, yeah, I agree, because they certainly, and they are not going to come and help you, and certainly they're not really adding value to the community.
No, there was not an Amazon fund out there helping small business.
Right. Exactly. And I think, what, life's better when there's a greater sense of community,
For sure.
You're certainly, you're part of the fabric of your neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, I felt I had customers that came in and just, I mean, literally at one point we were just trying to keep the lights on. I mean, honest to God, like our electric bill would bounce, our things like that. And I had women that were just shopping out of sense of helping their local community, and they wanted to see me survive, and they wanted to see my store after the pandemic was over. And I'd have people online buy $500 gift cards and then come in person and buy more stuff and never use their gift card, because they just wanted to help out. And I think women and some people were shopping for therapy. They were shopping. They can't wear these cute shoes anywhere. They can't even go out for sushi or whatever. And they were buying for therapy just to make themselves feel good. It was like the end of last summer. My girlfriend's a nurse, so she was thrown under the bus in this whole thing. It was brutal. But one morning we were getting up and I'm making coffee, and she comes out in like this dress. I go, "Where are you going?" She goes, "I'm going to walk the dogs." She goes, "I just need to feel pretty. I wear scrubs every day, and then at home everybody's in sweatpants. I'm walking the dogs."
Yeah, no, you do these little things just to kind of feel like that you still have a life.
Yeah. She said play piano, and I'd try to learn how to sing. So
we can pass on that today.
No, you don't want to hear that.
So, well, I'm glad to hear that business is picking up. And
I think we'll survive, but it's going to be 6 months before we see like normalcy again. I mean, I'd like to just not have to wear a mask all the time, and I get it, and I'm totally respectful and have been this whole time. But it's weird. You see the eyes, and you don't see the facial expressions. You don't see sarcasms or smiles or intent. You try to view through their eyes if they're smiling under there or if they're not.
It's harder. I think it's harder to communicate with people when the masks are on, but at the same time, I kind of got used to doing it. I mean, I would wear one at work all the time. I mean, it was
just habit.
It's just, and it's just not that big a deal. I mean,
no,
it's nothing I would choose to do, but it it's not killing me to do it.
No,
it's not infringing. It's not infringing on my rights, right? I mean,
right.
It's being a good guy.
Sure, and now I mean, everybody's doing it, but it is still a little more relaxed. I remember going, okay, we're going to go to the grocery store. All right, get a mask, got your mask, got your rubber gloves. Okay, we got our hand sanitizer. Okay, let's go to the grocery store. We're going to be in and out of there in like 15 minutes, no longer. and we'd be all efficient. We'd wipe down our fruit. And now we go to the grocery store, we wear a mask and we wash our hands afterwards. And that's about it. But it was like the paranoia, like you'd see a person by themselves in a car with a mask on and rubber gloves. Like what's going to happen?
Yeah. Right. And I think we learned what worked, what we needed to do, what we didn't need to do.
Yeah. I think that scenario in the car by yourself is kind of like going to bed alone with a condom on. Like nobody's going to get pregnant or a disease here.
Oh man. That's perfect.
I know your G-rated show here. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. That's hilarious. So look, if folks want to help stimulate the Scott Starbuck economy up there at City Souls, how can folks in Richmond, Virginia track you down?
Well, our website is the best place. citysouls.com. It's CITYSOLES. And remember, if you're going to kick ass, you need kick-ass shoes.
It's a great website. I was looking at you've got a great inventory, actually.
Yeah, like I said, I try to have trendy stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else. And it's not, over the top, crazy expensive. We're moderate price point. We, hope that things that you get from us, you don't see on anybody else's feet. We ship all over the country for free. If you're not sure if you need a size women's 8 or 8.5, we suggest you put them both in your shopping cart. We'll only charge you for one. And then when they arrive, you try them both on, figure out which one fits the best. And there's a free return label in there to ship the other one back. Try to make it as painless as possible for you. And we ship all over the country for free. Except we can't Uber, your shoes instantly to Richmond, but
Well, well, that's good. And hopefully we'll be up there at some point this summer. And maybe we can actually sit down in person.
Yeah, and have dinner together.
And have like a real, real world. I know. One of the pluses here is actually folks in Richmond, when we moved down here, Debbie was like, nobody sits outside to eat here because they don't. It wasn't a thing. It's become a thing now. Everybody's got places outside because that's one of the beauties of living in Chicago.
Everybody has an outdoor patio.
Everybody sits outside.
Yeah.
And
when you can.
When you
you could probably do it 10 months a year, or 11 months a year.
So,
but here you really cherish those 4 or 5 months a year that it's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. People come out of hibernation.
We had over 4 feet of snow in February, so it was pretty brutal.
I do not miss the Chicago winter. I got to tell you.
No, and for us, we would normally travel then. That's when we go to Costa Rica for 10 days or a couple weeks in Belize or somewhere, and we couldn't. We're like, we're stuck here.
Yeah. Well, as you said, there's a little more optimism, and I think there's a little progress in the right direction, and hopefully
get your vaccine card.
Got mine, man. Got mine.
Check that.
So, well, hey, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
And this has been another Consults Over Coffee, and we'll be back next week.